Let's talk about Nigel Farage. Well, he's going to be in the news a little bit later on because he's at the sentencing of a man who's been convicted of making death threats to him, an Afghan migrant making death threats to him, pop, 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 miming using a gun. And we'll be hearing from Nigel Farage after that sentence is handed down. But he's also in the news for talking about the economy. No, it's not just about immigrants, it's about the economy too. And he's condemned the Cretins, he says, have been running the economy. Well, let's talk about this with our friend from the station here. Russell Quirk is now a Reform UK councillor. Very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. So who are the Cretins and why does Nigel Farage condemn them?
Well, the Cretins are clearly the Labour government, the front bench, Rachel Reeves. I mean, she's kind of Queen Cretin, isn't she, really, insofar as her managing or otherwise, big inverted commas, of the economy. But also you have to say the Conservatives, Julia, don't you, insofar as their previous 3 or 4 years tenure in particular, kind of post-COVID, you know, what we saw from the Conservatives and then the baton was handed to Labour was very much excessive borrowing. I mean, we're now borrowing £150 billion a year at a cost in interest terms that is absolutely astronomical. We have inflation right now that was very, very high under the Conservatives, then came down a little bit, but has now gone up again. It's now twice the rate of the Bank of England target. But most worrying, really, is the lack of GDP growth. So the Labour government are trumpeting how well they're doing because we are a nation that actually has positive GDP compared to, funnily enough, France and Germany, who are in the doldrums. But the reality is GDP growth in Q2 2025 was half that in the UK of Q1. But the biggest problem is unemployment. Under the Labour government so far, we have lost as a country over 250,000 jobs.
I mean, and unemployment was up this morning by a small amount, but up to 4.8%. Job vacancies down. Average wage growth is still just below 4.7%. And payroll to employment flatlining. I mean, none of it's good, given that steely focus on growth that we've heard so much about from Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer ahead of last year's election.
Yeah, well, what we're seeing, unfortunately, I mean, you know, without a wry smile here, is growth in the wrong things. You know, growth in unemployment and growth in borrowing and growth in inflation are not really the look that we are seeking, so to speak. You know, look, we have a huge issue here in terms of, A, the ideology of the Labour front bench in terms of their sixth form-like politics, frankly, where they want to dish out money left, right and centre on
tax the wealthy.
Yeah, crazy things like net zero, giving other countries money for climate change. I mean, that's lunacy. And of course, public sector pay increases. You know, whatever happened to those doctors, by the way? Have they been quietly given that 23%? I suspect Wes Streeting is busy doing an under-table deal with them as we speak. So all of this excessive spend and at the same time scaring wealth creators and entrepreneurs and business people out of the country. You know, that Henley report that we've seen, which states that as many as 16,000 millionaires will be leaving Britain this year. And I know that the left think that's a brilliant thing. You know, what a result that we're getting rid of all these horrible people in their Lamborghinis. Well, I've got news for you, left. And that is, I'm afraid, these are the people that employ about 16 million people in this country. These are the people that pay fortunes in personal and corporation tax, which you need to fuel your public
and
spending.
it's now going elsewhere. Well, Nigel Farage says that he's going to create a second Thatcherite Big Bang. Now, all very well. How is he going to do it? Bearing in mind an awful lot of the pledges, it wasn't a formal manifesto last time round, we know, and he's made various announcements. You know, he wants to sort of end the 2-child cap of benefits. I mean, insane policy. I've had a go at him personally on that. But I mean, actually, Nigel Farage and Reform have talked a lot about quite a lot of money going here, going there, big spending on a lot of things. I know they're going to save a fortune if they got into power on abandoning net zero. That is a massive hit to our economy by keeping that. But are the numbers going to add up?
Well, we're awaiting a big speech in the next couple of weeks from Nigel insofar as what that is going to be in terms of the plans that he's going to lay out as policy by way of reform policy going forward. So obviously I wouldn't dare to try and preempt that. And unfortunately, I'm not a consultee, Julia, as may not be surprised.
Well, we know we're going to hear from Nigel Farage a little bit later after Fayez Khan, an Afghan migrant found guilty of threatening to kill the reform leader, is being sentenced this morning at Southwark Crown Crown Court, and basically he was charged with making a threat to kill Nigel Farage when he was in a TikTok video saying he was going to shoot the Reform UK leader when he reached Britain in a small boat, followed it up with another message as well. I mean, very, very terrifying times. Your party leader has faced numerous death threats. He has to have 24-hour security. And an awful lot of people in the mainstream and the left just seem to be remarkably unbothered by this.
Well, and also, Julia, as you, I'm sure, know, in the last 24 hours, a Reform Council leader, 19-year-old, attacked in the street because it would seem, because of the link there between that attack potentially and what that attacker said and what Keir Starmer has said in speeches in recent days, kind of promoting on Keir Starmer's part, division and a bit of hatred. Just quickly, though, let's talk about Faraz Khan. Do we not think that the appropriate sentence, as we will find out later on, would be exactly 31 months in prison? On the basis that that's what Lucy Connolly got for saying.
Well, she wasn't actually
a lesser serious thing.
Well, she absolutely wasn't calling for that she was saying she was going to kill people. And also, interestingly, we've got Reform UK Council also in the news. This is Claire Mackey-Brown in Scotland, reported Police Scotland for saying she was born and bred here. And the case has been dropped. Like, what case and why did anything need to be dropped? Saying you're born and bred somewhere. How is that racist? Yeah,
so I'm born and bred in Essex, so am I now going to be arrested for it not being outside of the British Isles? I mean, it's something I'm extremely proud of, I have to say. These non-crime hate incidents, which by definition are not crimes, the police have absolutely no business getting involved in this stuff. Do you know Essex police arrested 600 people in the last 12 months for non-crime hate incidents? Absolutely outrageous.
It really, really is. But meanwhile, we've got some Oxford student who's talking about putting people in the ground and urging people to kill people who are Zionists, Israelis, Jews, and people like me and others who support the State of Israel is right to exist. And no police action yet at all. But there we are. Russell Quirk, great to talk to you. Thank you very much. I'm going to get